Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, you are welcome, and to my returning subscribers, thank you so much. So in today's video, we'll be making this beautiful dress on your screen right now. It has bell sleeve and side pockets, so if this is what interests you, please keep on watching. So for this tutorial, I'll be making use of 3 yards of this fabric. This is a crepe material, so I'll be making use of this crepe material, and I have it 3 yards with me. 2.5 yards may also be okay if you're on a small size. I'll go ahead now to fold my fabric into 4. So for my gown, I want the flower part to be down and the plain black to be up. So I'll be marking my starting line from here so that I can be able to get the design that I want. I've gone ahead to mark my starting line. So from this starting line, I'll take my measurements. So from this line, I'll mark my neck width, and the neck width I'm working with for this gown is 3 inches, and for the length I'm making use of 1.5 inches. So I'll go ahead now to connect my lines. I'll also place my tape on the starting line, and I'll take my shoulder measurements. So from that our shoulder line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, and I'm going to slant it to meet with the neckline. So after connecting my shoulder slope to meet my neckline, I'll go ahead now to take my measurements, and from the starting line, I place my tape on the starting line and I mark 10 inches, and 10 inches is my bust line. After that, I'll go ahead and mark my waist line. Please just look at where my tape is. My tape is at that my starting line and not at the shoulder slope. I'm placing my tape on the starting line to take my measurements. So from that waistline, I'm going to come down by 8 inches, which is my hip line. So you can always place your tape at the starting line to take your hip measurements, but the easiest way I do mine is to place my tape at the waistline, and from my waistline I'll just take my hip line, which is 8 inches. So I've gone ahead to mark my 8 inches, and from my starting line again, I'm marking my full length. I hope I'm not confusing you guys. I just want this video to be as detailed as possible. So I'm going ahead now to mark my full length, and for this gown I'm making use of 37 inches for the full length. So go ahead now and mark your full length. So right now I'm going ahead now to connect my lines. So let me go over the lines again. I have my starting line, I have my bust line, I have my waist line, I have my hip line, and I have my full length. So from my bust line, I will go up by 2 inches, and that 2 inches will serve as my chest line. I'll also go ahead now to mark a straight line for my chest line. I'll connect what I have at my shoulder line. I'll connect it down to my chest line, and I'll connect it with a straight line like so. So for my bust measurements, I'll be marking my bust measurements at my chest line, and I have 9 inches. So I'll go ahead and mark my 9 inches. I'll also add 2 inches for ease. So after marking my measurements at my chest line, I'll go ahead now to mark what I have already marked out at my chest line. I will simply connect it down to my bust line. So for my shoulder slope, that 1 inch that I came down by at my shoulder line, I'm going to place my tape at that my shoulder slope down to my chest line, and I will mark the midpoint that I have. Just simply divide whatever you have at that area, just simply divide it into 2 and mark what you have. So I've gone ahead to mark mine, and from that my center point, I'm going to come in by 1/2 inch. So after that, I'll go ahead to connect my lines, my shoulder slope, the 1/2 inch that I came in by, and my bust measurements. I'll connect the 3 lines like so. I'll go ahead now and take my waist measurements, and my waist measurement is 7.5. I'll also add 2 inches. For ease, you know that this gown is kind of a free gown. This gown is a free gown, so I'm adding 2 inches for my ease allowance. I'll also go ahead and mark my hip measurements. and I'll add extra 2 inches for ease. So for my full length, I will take what I have at my hip area, I will take it down to my full length, and I will be adding extra 2 inches because of the A shape, the A line at the down of the dress. I'll go ahead now to connect my lines. I'll go ahead now to separate my front from my back and adjust my front measurements. So for the neck of this front part, I am coming down by 1 inch and I will curve it like so. I will also come down by 4 inches and I will mark it as well. So from my neckline, from that my new neckline, I am coming in by half an inch. I marked half an inch. So I will connect it down to meet with the 4 inches that I came down by. After cutting it out, this is what our front piece is looking like right now. So I'll go ahead now to cut my sleeve. I have placed my fabric, I have folded my fabric into 4. So for this sleeve, my full length for this sleeve is 28 inches. So I'll go ahead now to mark my starting line. I'll be taking one of the piece, either the back or the front. I will measure what I have at the armhole area. So I'll go ahead now to measure what I have at the armhole area, and whatever I have at the armhole area, that is what I'm going to cut out on this sleeve. So I'll place my tape like so. I am placing my tape in a slant way. My tape is not straight, and I will mark out what I have measured out on my armhole area, and I will add at least half an inch. So after marking it out, I will connect it like so. So from the line that I marked, I'm going ahead now to slant it all the way to my full length. I am going ahead as well to notch my center point for this my sleeve. So for this downside of my sleeve, I went ahead to slant it a bit. I don't want it to have this pointy, that sharp point at that side. I don't want it to be very sharp. So I went ahead to just slant it a little bit and connect it back to my full length. You can just come up by 1 inch or 1.5 inches and then curve it back to the full length of the sleeve. So after cutting it out, this is what the down part is looking like right now. This gown is going to have pockets by the sides, so I'm going ahead now to cut out my pockets, and I'm folding my fabric into 4. I'll go ahead now to mark out my starting line, and from that starting line, I'll come down by 7 inches and I'll mark it out like so. After that, I'll go ahead now to place my hand in between the lines that I have marked out, the starting line and the 7 inches that I came down by. So I'm going to trace out what I have. And when tracing it out, make sure you add some inches round. So I'm going ahead now to mark out what I have. So after that, I will cut it out. I have 4 pieces for my pockets. I will cut out my facings for the back and the front piece. I'll go ahead now and bring my back piece and my facing and place them front side facing front, and I will stitch it down by half an inch. I'll also do the same with the front piece. I'll be placing it as well, front side facing front, and I'll also sew it with 1/2 inch. I have gone ahead to stitch down my facing both for the front and the back. So right now I'm going to iron down my facing with this hemming gum so that the facing will stay one place. And I'll also do the same for the back piece. Please make sure you notch it round so that it can relax properly before ironing it down with your hemming gum. So after ironing it down with my hemming gum, this is what my front is looking like right now. I have also gone ahead to do the same for my back piece. I'll be placing the front piece and the back piece at the shoulder, and I'm going to stitch it down by 1/2 inch. And I'm placing them front side facing front, so I'm going ahead now to stitch it down with 1/2 inch. After stitching it down, this is what I have. I'll go ahead now to trim out the excess, and after that I'll go ahead now to place my sleeve. On the notched part on my sleeve, I'll be placing it where I have my shoulder joining, like I'll be placing it front side facing front, and I'll go ahead and sew it down like so. And I'll do the same on the other sleeve, and I'll come back to show you guys what I have. After stitching down my sleeve, this is what I have. I'll go ahead now to take measurements for my pockets, and I'm placing my tape at the shoulder line, and I will take 17 inches for my pocket. So 17 to 18 inches is very okay for the pocket measurements. So I will be placing it right now, and I'll mark it like so. And I'll be placing my pockets right side facing right, just the way you see me doing. So after pinning it down, I'll go ahead now to sew it down, and I will repeat the same thing at the both sides, both for the front and the back. So after stitching down the pocket, I'm going ahead now to close up my sides, and at this pocket side I'll go ahead now to align it, and I'll stitch it like so. After stitching it down, this is what we have, and this is what our pocket is looking like already. Please, at this point, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead now to subscribe. I have gone ahead to fold my sleeve with 1 inch, attached my pocket, and I have also gone ahead to fold my down with 1 inch. So we have come to the end of today's tutorial, and this is a very simple gown. Please don't forget to hit on that subscribe button, and of course I will see you again in my next video. Bye.